Welcome to this review of the Fountain Tarot deck. I'm going to really focus on the general feel of the deck. So when I'm getting to know a deck and evaluating what I feel about the deck, I've got various categories. So first of all, legibility. When I look at the cards, do they speak to me? Now, that is partly my responsibility to be open and intuitive and have knowledge about the tarot, and that's partly the responsibility of the creators of the cards. How clear are the cards? Have they focused on good design values or a pretty image at the expense perhaps of some of the meaning? So there's legibility. Secondly, there's the vibe. So this is like when you meet somebody for the first time and you work out whether you're going to get on with them or what it's going to take for you to get on with them, how easy that's going to be, how much internal adjustment you need to make in order to have a productive relationship with them. When am I going to use this? Who is it for? And what can I learn from it? So first of all, I'm going to say that I was really impressed with the quality of the deck. The Fountain Tarot was designed by a group of 3 people, and the artwork was made by a graphic designer. That very much comes out. Now, I actually work in a graphic design school, and I know the attention to detail, the attention to quality that graphic designers have, and this is really the deck's really imbued with that. The card that's used is thick, it's good quality. There's a kind of elegant little magnetic fastening in the box. The cards have a tasteful back. So then obviously you go into the part where you actually start getting to know the cards. And I'm going to be honest, it was a really mixed bag for me actually. I'm not really getting exchange or giving and receiving or patronage from that. The 2 of Coins likewise, yes, we can. So we've got the water environment, we've got the juggling hands. I don't really know what's going on here. Where the arm, the sort of, you've got the sleeve tattoo of the ocean, coming out of the ocean. I don't know. I mean, I remember the meaning of the card, but it was slightly displaced looking at the image, and I had to sort of dig down beyond it to find my memory of what the card meant, if that makes sense. I'm just going to speak rapidly about 2 of the numbers cards that I found really, really successful. I see this as being very cinematic in its sense, and cinematic also in a way that allows you to access your storytelling. So I can see this man. It's the morning after a very long party with lots of people that he knows, and he alone knows that he's going to be leaving these people behind, and that he'd taken that decision, and it's a very solitary decision, and he's standing there and he's measuring the weight of the decision that he's made, and he's about to head off into this unknown. And at the same time, it's both melancholy and open with a world of possibility. So for me, that's absolutely one of the best Eight of Cups cards I've ever seen. Now, the Four of Coins, I think this is a really clever card. Nobody in sight. And that the coin is just in this open tent in a barren landscape. And immediately you think, frozen assets. And we've got this idea that the money is frozen. And so the energy is not circulating. And it's useless. Who will the money serve here? There's nobody there. There's nobody to buy anything. There's nobody to sell anything. There's nobody to receive the power or the opportunity or the gift that money can be. So just before we move on to the court cards, which is really why I'm making this video, because I think that is the great strength of this deck, I've got a little confession to make. I did do a reading of these cards where I asked the deck if I was going to be, if the deck allowed me to read them for others. And I got this guy. Now, I didn't really know what to do with that as an answer. I mean, it was upright, but then I think at the time all the cards were upright because it was a new deck. So I took a look at the little booklet that came with it, and after reading a couple of sentences, I realised that I did actually know who this guy was. And art students, you're 19, you're messing around with paint, you think that you are the next creative genius and that you've discovered things other people haven't discovered, but you're scratching the surface, you don't know anything. And that card reminded me that I was a dilettante. And so I felt a little bit hurt. But to be honest, when I did read this card, and that's well over a year ago, I hadn't developed my tarot knowledge the way that I have today. I've taken a big leap. And that card put me on notice. So in terms of the vibe of the cards and of the deck, I would say that this is a deck that knows that it's honest and incisive and clear, and not necessarily a deck to turn to if you're feeling a bit tender and vulnerable, and what you're looking for in fact is comfort and reassurance and the sort of guidance of the friendly big sister. The court cards. The court cards are by far the best court cards I've ever seen. Now, I've found court cards typically quite difficult to work into a reading, and maybe I need to do some more work on that. But I think that one of the reasons is that the court cards are kings and queens and knights and pages. And even if we know what a king represents, we need to do quite a lot of translation work, because these are not the dominant power archetypes in our contemporary culture. These are the dominant power archetypes of a much older culture. And so we need to try and adapt that into the querent's life, and often we don't know anything about the querent's life and who the people are around them. So there's huge amounts of feeling around that you need to do. So I'm going to just show you a couple of the cards I think are really successful. This guy here, the King of Coins. Now, don't we all, citizens of the Western world, know who this guy is? He is, for me, maybe not a CEO, but he's in the upper management of a company. He has a certain status in society. He is somebody who, when he speaks, he expects to be heard. And he's very relaxed into his power. He's quite good-natured, but you're going to feel the full force of his resistance if you go against him. And he's very much the archetypal man in the suit who's moving things around in the material world and controlling our economy. And that filters down into your life in a pay cut or a pay rise or an industry that booms or fails. So we know him. The next male court card that I thought was really successful was the King of Cups. So I can see this guy working in one of these kind of glass atrium buildings in London or New York. He maybe works for an NGO, and he's very informal with his colleagues and good-natured. He's in a world of emotion, and yet he's quite secure within that and quite grounded. And the only thing is that he's perhaps not as accessible as we imagine. Guy. So I see him at one of the good universities, plays the violin, a little bit introspective, good at chess, in love with a girl from Japan. Okay, I'm going off on one a little bit here. But even in the number cards, like this 3 of coins, we don't have the artisan anymore. We've got somebody who looks like they're giving a TED talk or an Apple presentation. And then just 2 of the queens here. Now I'm showing you the ones that I think are the most successful. This Queen of Coins I find relatable. I'm air, so earth is often something that I have a little bit of difficulty relating to, but again I feel like I know this woman. So this is somebody with quite a voluptuous sensual relationship with material things. It's not exactly superficiality though. It's really this capacity to take pleasure in the material world, because some people have a lot of things but they don't even enjoy it. You know, and she does. And she's created something, she's created a world around her in which she can welcome people in. And again, it's quite cinematic. And okay, and then finally, because I am the Queen of Swords, and even my colour scheme is a little bit similar, but I look at this card and I was a little disappointed with it, particularly after seeing this woman, but because she's not very visible, and I did find that a bit disappointing, because I didn't feel that you could understand a lot about this character. But then perhaps that is the point. Perhaps she is difficult to get to know. Perhaps this is a big kind of shield that she has between herself and the world, that there's always this glass wall between her and others. And probably people who know me well would say, yeah, that sounds like you. So perhaps the card is better than I thought. Anyway, that is my little review. I really recommend it, but as with any recommendation, we are all individuals and everybody needs to look at things in their own way and make their own decisions about what resonates with them or not. I've watched people speak passionately about tarot decks and really appreciated their passion and felt their love of the cards, but know that that isn't a deck for me. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and comment below. Tell me what your experiences are of working with this deck, and I hope to see you back on this channel soon.